This is February. February is Black History Month. And so I looked in the Science of Mind magazine today, and Rev. Andrea Earle, who is one of our wonderful, beautiful black ministers in Science of Mind, and who I got to take a couple of classes from, put together our daily readings in Science of Mind. And this is what she said. I'm just not reading the whole thing. This previously concealed history, which is now publicly exposed, reveals the impossibility of separating chattel slavery from our American economy, an economy built on the backs of the enslaved and documented as early as 1619. There is no legacy of the American wealth economy without slavery. The truth is that our current American economy is based on wealth generated during slavery. It was built on a foundation of enslaving Africans to create a new prosperous world. Too many learn late in life the degree to which African people contributed as enslaved people to the greatest economy in the world. Key to how we understand who we are and our place in the world are our stories. Stories of and about where we came from, what we have contributed, the past on which we now stand, and the awareness from which we launch our future. So one thing I didn't know was that those slaves were brought over in 1619, which was a whole year before the Mayflower landed. This is the history that's been hidden. It's now made public. Yeah. So, because it is February, I'll start us off with a story about a wonderful black woman that we've all heard of. And it was way back when, in the early 1800s, there lived a remarkable woman. I'm not going to tell you her name yet, so you can guess. She was born into slavery on a plantation in Maryland. She experienced the harsh realities and dehumanizing conditions that enslaved individuals faced daily. She witnessed the cruelty of slavery firsthand. She saw families torn apart. She saw the pain and sorrow and felt the heavy weight of oppression on her own spirit. These experiences, though incredibly painful and uncomfortable, fueled a fire within her that gave her the desire, extreme desire, to experience freedom. It took a great amount of courage and resilience before she felt like she could move into action. Anybody guess who it is yet? One night, Harriet made her daring escape, leaving everything she knew behind. She embarked on this treacherous journey, guided only by the North Star and her faith in the future for freedom. Of course, she encountered countless obstacles and many dangers along the way, and she relied on the generosity and kindness of those that were involved in the Underground Railroad to protect her. Finally, she reached the free state of Pennsylvania. Now, she could have settled down into a wonderful life there, right? It was a comfortable place to be. She was safe. She was free. But instead, she chose to dedicate herself to helping others escape the bonds of slavery. What a brave human being. Harriet became a fearless conductor on the Underground Railroad, leading numerous enslaved individuals to freedom. With every journey she undertook, she saw the discomfort and longing for freedom in the people that she was helping rescue. And their stories and struggles only fueled her desire to keep freeing more people. This was her mission. Harriet Tubman's story teaches us that it's often in our most uncomfortable situations and challenges that we can draw from within ourselves the strength to do things that could seem impossible. And so she reminds us of the resilience that each of us has, the determination and the ability to pursue our next endeavors, no matter how seemingly impossible they may be. So here's a quote from Nelson Mandela. He said, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." How can we be free when others aren't? There's only one of us. So today's talk title is about lessons in uncomfortability, but the month's theme is divine discomfort. Woohoo! I'm so looking forward to that, aren't you? Divine discomfort. So lessons in uncomfortability. So Harriet Tubman was a perfect example of that, right? Her life experience was so uncomfortable that she became this amazing, heroic human being that just changed the lives of many, many other people. And you know what? We can do that in our own ways too, each of us. How many of us like feeling uncomfortability? I don't know about you, but I think most of us would rather feel comfortable in any situation rather than uncomfortable, right? It just doesn't feel comfortable, for heaven's sake. But think about it. If we all felt comfortable all the time and stayed in our comfort zones, what would motivate us to grow and expand in consciousness? We would just be stuck there in that little comfortable bubble. There's a quote by Dan Stevens, My Week on the Porch, that goes like this: "The comfort zone is the great enemy to creativity. Moving beyond it necessitates intuition, which in turn configures new perspectives and conquers fears." So when we view uncomfortability from this lens, we can look at it from a place of opportunity. We have opportunity to expand and grow in consciousness. Uncomfortability can be the thing that moves us forward in creating something even greater. How many times in your life can you look back and see that your life seemed to be going well and you felt like, oh my gosh, I've created this wonderful life. I feel really comfortable. Thank you, God. I love it. And then, sometimes seemingly out of the blue, something totally unexpected happens and everything changes in a moment. That really cushy, comfy life that you were living in, that you were so grateful for, suddenly doesn't exist anymore. Kind of like what happened during COVID. Perhaps things have happened in your life where you've experienced these sudden changes. Or there's another thing that happens too, is that we get a new idea. We might be in this comfy, cushy life and some new idea pops into our mind like, oh my gosh, my life could be even better if this were to happen. And what we know from our teaching is that what we think about, feel, believe, can conceive, right? We can bring it into our reality, as our reality. But our minds tend to they like to hold on to comfortable patterns. Sometimes we feel resistance, like, I don't want to change. No, I don't want that to happen. Oh no, now what? It can feel very uncomfortable. And it can be hard for us to embrace the change, embrace the new, especially when we don't want it that way. So some of the things that happen when we're being resistant to change are fear, doubt, or clinging to the past, right? But we've got to be self-aware about how am I feeling about this new change. It's part of our spiritual maturity on our journey to be aware, because if we go into fear and doubt and clinging to the past because we're in resistance to a new change, it makes the change much harder. But it's also a call for us to go within, because whenever we're in fear, that's our opportunity to do a spiritual mind treatment and get ourselves back on track. There's a Science of Mind quote that says, "Nature will not let us stay in any one place too long. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary to the unfolding and advancement of the soul. Nature demands the change in order that we may advance." So change is a natural part of life. We need change in order to continue to progress on our spiritual evolutionary process. And so let's keep this in mind. It will make us more readily available and able to get through change in an easier, more gentle way than screaming and kicking and holding on, right? So some of the tools that we use to bring about an even greater experience we know are visioning. We've done a lot of visioning. Prayer, meditation. Soon will be vision boarding for our new senior minister. And we're so blessed to have these tools, right? Can you imagine all the people that just don't even have a belief system that there's something greater than themselves, a power greater that they can use? So as a community, we're going through our own changes, both personally and collectively. We have some important updates at our community meeting today, so be sure and stay. And so I just want to remind us that no matter what changes are happening, that we have everything we need and more in every moment because we are in God. All things are possible in God, right? We are in God and God is in us. There's only oneness. So the oneness of creation that contains all the power, the presence, the intelligence, the wisdom, the intuition, the joy, peace, beauty, love, abundance is already here right now. And so our job is to open up to the change that is wanting to emerge as a community for us to bring that next senior minister into fruition right here, right now. Because that person already exists. Our job is to attract that person into this building, into this community. And we do that by our spiritual practices. We have to be the change that we want to see, right? We hear that over and over again. It's our vibration that attracts that next person here. And so it's so important for us to keep doing our spiritual practice. We are living in the natural flow of life, which is constantly changing. So let us let go of any limiting thoughts about what we can't do. Let us overcome our fears with affirmative prayer and embrace the truth that we are living in a sea of infinite possibility. Like our founder Ernest Holmes said, there is a power for good in the universe, and we can use it. And we're expected to use it. And let's use it consciously, because we're always using it whether we realize it or not. Let us use this power to affirm for ourselves that the universe is always conspiring for our highest good. And let us use those tools that we've been given to bring to fruition the desire for our community. So if doubts pop up and things seem too hard or too challenging, remember, we are not alone. We have each other. And we are living in God's good life. all things are possible. We know this is our truth. And if we don't know how to do it, it's okay. It's the Father within us that doeth the work, right? So let us let go and let God and watch as amazing things unfold in, through, and as each one of us, and in, through, and as us as a community. And I love that saying. Let us get our bloated nothingness out of the way of divine circuitry, and all is well, and so it is.